So for those who didn't know.
Must be a hell of a ticket. We got 5 guys on? 6?
Got the brain trust turned on.
Yeah. So who started from this point? We are describing the input format of Rally and how actually to use it for some real cases, for real testing, if you need to check something in cloud very specific and it's not it goes out of the scope of just functional testing, like you need to measure performance or find some races or repeat one action any amount of time and so on. So the input task is Ginger2 template. It's Python Ginger2 template. So templates usually used for web applications and so on. But if you are familiar with Ansible, Ansible has as well Ginger2 Ginger2 template that should be processed to proper YAML. So here is the same story. We are then getting proper YAML, and instead of this flavor name, we'll get this value like M1tiny or what user specified flavor name. So it's like very nice because you don't need to rewrite task YAML if you need different flavor and so on. But there are many other things that you can do with this, and I'll just show you. So so on the top we have dictionary. In each key is name of the scenario plugin. You can think about scenario plugin as the set of the action that will be performed n times with some concurrency. So it's just a set of actions, like take passed user, boot VM, wait until it starts, and then delete VM and wait until it deletes. So this is like set of action that we can repeat n times to get some positive result or negative or what we want. The second thing here is list. Each element in this list is the separated test case. Each test case has actually 4 sections, here only 3, but I'll talk about the 4 a bit later. So first section is args. These arguments will be passed to this plugin, boot and list server. So it means that we will boot VM with this flavor and this image. You can specify as well nicks, some scheduler hints, and everything that accept actually Python client. So here for simplicity we are just doing flavor and image. The second section is runner. By type we mean the plugin called constant. This thing will call this scenario plugin n times. Like it depends on the type of the runner and its arguments. So this one is constant runner. Why it's constant? Because it tries to keep the constant amount of parallel working scenarios. So if you specify concurrency 2, it means that 2 Nova boot and list server will work all during the whole testing period. 2. That's why it's constant, because no matter how long it will take, it will keep 2. So when one of scenario finish, it will start new one and so on. Each run of the scenario is called iteration, like 1 iteration, 2nd iteration, 3rd iteration. So times mean that we will run 10 times this boot and list server, 10 times at all. So it means that it will keep 2 scenario working until it runs 10 times. There are other runners. One of the other runner is RPC. It's more real life testing, because RPC runner is like a scenario per second. So each interval of time it will run new scenario, no matter previous finished or not. So the total load that is at some point of time, so amount of scenario can be different. It depends. If cloud can handle the load, then it will be like constant. So at some point of time, it will keep the constant amount of the parallel working scenarios. If cloud cannot handle, then it will rise, and bad things will happen. So the context is another part. Is if you go to the unit test framework, the first analogy is setup and teardown. But in this case, you are doing one setup, then you are calling many times this scenario to generate load, and then you are doing teardown once. So you don't do on each scenario run all setups. So this allows us to create user setup quotas, setup roles, upload images, create flavors, do whatever we want for all these tenants, set up networks as well. Yeah, it's very important. And do everything this before the load. Then we are doing load with these users that are created here. After we finish load, we are doing cleanupping of everything, including the thing that were created by scenario. So this allows us to do in scenarios, do such scenarios that are only creating resources, like only booting VM. It allows us to do volume testing, like if you need to boot 10,000 VMs, and don't want to delete them until load is finished, and you would like to just clean up everything. Yeah. So we can just take this and run it, but I'll need to reduce amount because I don't have enough. So we'll just run 4 times and boot 2 VMs. Okay, let's try it. So the nice thing about Rally, it will check all arguments that you specify of this YAML, that they are actually properly written. Like if you specify wrong image, it will say you, okay, you specify wrong image and I cannot run task. It won't start doing loads with wrong arguments. This was very painful when I started using Rally and I didn't have these validation steps, because you can specify any amount of test cases in single task and it will run them all one by one. Yeah. Okay, for some reason okay, so it said that it ran everything, and you can see here that we have a split duration for booting server and for listing server. So we are measuring these 2 steps separately, and you can, so different plugins have different amount of steps. So we don't get the full duration, like if we are doing like boot VM, snapshot VM, start VM from snapshot, delete snapshot, delete VM, delete original VM. We'll get all these steps, not only the full duration of something that we did there. Yeah, so it's very transparent, and we have as well total duration. So it helps you here, and it says that you can actually generate HTML reports or you can generate JUnit report. So if you need to push it to Jenkins or something else that works with subunit, then or JUnit, then the most actually systems work with JUnit format. So we cannot put all the information inside JUnit, but we are trying to put as much as possible. And you can get as well raw results. Raw results looks like this. So you have a first of all list of test cases, and each test case will have a full duration, and then it will have a specification, what was the configuration that you run, Then it has a result, and result you have every run of the scenario, all information that we collect, like what it takes to boot server, what it takes to list server, what was the total duration. If there are some traces and errors, it will collect them. So idle duration, who cares? And plugins can return values, so this can be used for if you would like to do some specific stuff. In future, we will run workloads, and then you have only one iteration that boots a lot of VMs or servers, and then it runs IPRF on them and present this data. So this will be scenario output will be used for that. And as well, you have timestamp if you would like to work with time series storage. After that, you can do report O'Reilly HTML, yeah. And so let me try to
It will be report for most recent task.
Yep, as usually for everything is done for most recent if UID is not specified, but you can specify any UID, you can get for any or switch to any UID to make it default and then work with it. So so okay, thank you. Okay, if we open O'Reilly HTML, so first of all you will see task overview where you have all list of all test cases that you run. Here is the input file that you used for that, and if you go inside you will see the durations of different stuff. So on each iteration you can get reports, you can get here the load that you are doing, and you can get here distribution of values, so it's histogram. We don't have enough iteration to do this, so I'll run next test with more data. And in details you can see what it takes to boot server and what it takes to list server and as well. So what we can do now is like do something more interesting. Let's do the test with Keystone because it's faster. So before even doing this, I'll show you something. Inside the O'Reilly repository, you have a directory called samples, and you can go to samples of task scenarios and find any scenarios that you would like. So from the set that we have. So we have like Keystone scenarios, and inside Keystone scenario you can find YAML or JSON. They are duplicated, they have the same values, so we can do like create and delete users scenario. So I'll take this one. Now it's here. Okay, let's do something less. Like, so what we will do now is something more interesting. Let's use Ginger to run the single task that contains few test cases that will run different load. So like we'll put here for E in range 1 to like 1 to 5 times. We'll put here less, like 200, and here we'll put 10 multiplied by e, but it should be like this.
What is the syntax for this file?
So this is the Ginger 2 template. Ginger 2 template is called. So it's one of the most popular thing in Python world for templating. It's like if you're familiar with Java, there's GCP, Java server page. In any language, you have a template engine that is used to generate HTML pages. This thing is very nice because it's like very close to Python, and that's really nice because you can just write the Python code like range and for and other stuff. So we'll here have end for. So if I didn't make any mistakes, we'll try to run it. Before even running this task, we can actually run really task validate that will check for us. Is it
point and for operator anyway? Can you avoid and for operator in this cycle?
No, it's syntaxes of Ginger. So you have to specify for and for. You have opening block and closing block. Huh?
I thought that it's Python.
It's almost Python. It's almost Python.
Okay.
If conditions and for, I mean loops are different, but in the rest, in these two brackets, you can put any Python code, and it will work. That's why I'm saying that it's Python-like. So. So, first of all, it will generate this task, and you see, now it looks like this. So you don't need to copy paste the test with different concurrency, the same test case, yeah. And it will say that it's correct, and then after that we have to like create at least one user to check that everything is specified inside it. Limitation of Relay. In any case, it means that we can run this task and that we specify what we need. So I'll just run it. So in this case, we will now run all these 4 test cases. Each test cases will have a bigger concurrency, so bigger amount create and delete user at the same point of time. And then we'll generate report and see how graphs are changed depending on the load. Then probably I'll put as well RPC runner and show the difference between the concurrency load and RPS load and cover load profile graph.
Once again, RPS load, what does it mean?
So it means that we will start this new iteration, so new run of scenario plugin, each interval. We don't care is it previous finished or not. We just start each interval. So if you specify 5 RPS, it means to run 5 scenarios per second, which means that each 200 milliseconds you'll run new iteration. And it's very dangerous because if your cloud cannot handle this load, it will run more and more in parallel, and you can get some troubles with cloud. Like you can DOS some services and your cloud, so it's very dangerous, and I'll show you how to avoid problems with it. So first of all, we'll just do the basic stuff, then more complicated. Yeah. So I'll show you on the sample how it's different from the constant. We have a special load profile chart that shows the amount of the scenario running in parallel. So it clearly describes how it's different. Okay. Please go to the product management and say them that you need it in fuel, and then it will be. They, instead of using this, they decide to make a Mirantis cloud validation tool and integrate it. Okay.
And what's that so far?
That is some kind of something that includes everything. It's on top of this, even.
Yeah, it's image has different virtual environments, and each environment you can run separately Rally or Tempest or as far as I know, Ceph.
Yeah, Wally and Shaker.
And Shaker.
Yeah.
But
So-
it's like that's not.
So as you see, now we have 4 tables, and each table show us the duration of different stuff. So like if we take here at the average duration, it will be 8 seconds, here it will be 5 seconds, here will be 3 seconds, and here is just a 1.5 seconds. So depending on the load, we are getting some performance issues. I mean, it's okay because we are running more, but you can at least understand what is happening. And so now we can just get the new report, like report out Keystone HTML. Okay, and here I'll copy paste Keystone HTML, and I'll just open it. Okay. So as you see, now we have a 4. In task overview, we have 4 test cases. So we see the load duration, what it takes, and full duration, what it takes. Okay, so you see, we have some bugs with this stuff. It shouldn't look like this, but okay. So you see the duration of the stuff is like. Okay, so here's create user and delete user, so you can see that everything is fine. And you can even close the create user, close the delete users.
Looks amazing.
Yeah, and you can see this is very important graph because you see that it's a normal distribution. So I mean, when you see such graphic, it means that you have valid results. If it has a few peaks or it's not clear like this, it means that results are actually bad because a lot of action is happening and duration is not distributed properly as it should be. So then you can go here and see, so here is 2 seconds and here is 4 seconds, and then hop, and we are seeing that the creating user or no deleting user is taking more and more time, and create user is not so, doesn't have so big changes. So like if we say like Keystone create user, yeah, restarts always. In any case, it allows you to analyze different stuff. Yeah. So another thing that we can benchmark is like creating and listing users, so getting information about how it long takes to list users. But before doing this, let's just create let's run another task, and then let's get the report from the 2 tasks together. I mean, we don't support yet comparison of data, but we are working on that. For now, you can just join results from different tasks. So we will take now from the samples, tasks, scenarios, Keystone, create and list users, YAML. And here we'll set up like 500, bless you, and we'll specify a load 50, and we will run it in the same way.
Minus V as verbose.
Just to see the iteration and more detailed information about execution. So you won't see all these log info messages if you don't run it in verbose mode. And if you run it in debug mode, then you'll see all the logs from the Python clients. So like all requests, and so you'll be able to analyze in more details. But the logs are huge though. So
Do you use Python plans? So you have to have installed OpenStack, plans?
no, just clients, not the services.
Plans.
Clients will be installed when you're installing Rally. They are in requirements of Rally. This is actually good because it saves a lot of time. It makes it simpler to write own plugins because you're just using plain Python clients. And if you know how to use plain Python clients, you'll be able as well to write a simple plugin, which we can do now. Even just doesn't take too much to make it. So we are running about 500. So now during the load we are only creating users, we don't delete them. After we do all this stuff, we will start deleting users. Cleanups are very smart, like they don't hard cloud, they have a fixed speed of deletion of parallel resources, they have retries, and if retries doesn't work, they will log messages like we try to delete this resource 3 times, but we failed with this failure, so please take care about it.
So this is much more safe than running templates?
So yes, but we are working even in making it even more safer, like you'll have a special command like disaster cleanup that allows you to, with the fresh installation of Rally, just with using credentials of cloud, clean up all the resources that were created by Rally. In any case, like no matter what happens, you will be able to clean up by Rally all resources and only Rally resources.
And now, when it's like failing after a few tries, it tells you that, hey, you need to fix this.
So you usually clean up everything. The only way to not clean up everything is to send kill signal. So, for example, we are going to handle Control C only soon in next release on Monday. But before that, if you like Control C press, then it will hurt your cloud because it will stop everything not gracefully. Finally, I finished this stuff. Graceful shutdown. So I believe this installed Rally has already this log. Or not. Maybe not. Okay. So in any case, now we finished this load and we can see that list users took from 1 second to the maximum of 5 seconds. The average is 4. And now we can generate the report. But we'll do the next thing. Rally task list. So we can see the few tasks that we run. By the way, there is isolation of results that are here in this table. So I can do like Rally task list, all deployments, and you can get from all deployments. But usually you are getting only from the deployment that you are using now. Yeah. So if we switch, for example, from Rally deployment use support or and I do Rally task list, I'll get only for this deployment. So it's quite useful. Deployment use. However, we need these results. So what I'm going to do now is like to build the single report from two tasks that we run, so we'll be able to just extend it. Sometimes it's required. So ready tasks, and then I'll specify this one and this one, and I'll specify combined HTML. Okay, and I can go now here. Okay, so now we have this scenario as well. Create and list users. And we can see that it starts taking more time, but not so bad. And we can see that list users is working quite well for some reason. I don't know why. It doesn't look like true. I remember when the list users were working like this, but seems like the IBM recently hired the Keystone guys, so they had to fix it because they're running public cloud now. They're trying to run, so maybe something is fixed now. So what we can do to create what resources still worse. Actually, I can show the reports of fuel that works worse. So we can go here. Actually, any patch will be okay. Just a second, I'll show you. Okay. This is more usually list looks like this. Like you can go to details and you can see that. Yeah. So it's fuel list environments. Works slower and slower. In any case, so what can I show more is there are a few things how to not destroy your cloud. So in case of constant runner, you won't destroy it, but in case of RPC runner, you can easily destroy it. So we'll make a RPC runner now and try it. So here, for example, ready is just so. Oops. Not that one. So let's just use create and delete user, for example. So we'll remove this because we don't need it, and we'll change the type of load to RPC. Here we'll specify like 5,000, and here we have a new argument. It's RPC called actually. So we'll specify, let's start 10 new, yeah. This could break the cloud. So to stop it, there is another thing that we should learn now. It's SLA section. It allows to specify the success criteria of the execution of the scenario. There are as well a bunch of plugins for that, and they analyze the results of each iteration, and based on these results they make decision, does it pass or not. So you can analyze average duration, maximum duration, duration of some specific atomic action, or just exceptions and so on. So we can do like here we'll use just single. It's max iteration. I don't know how it's called, but it's not the big deal because you always can do the plugin Rally plugin list. So it will list all plugins that you have in Rally, and you can as well do the list max, for example. So there are max average duration plugin and max seconds per iteration. Yeah. Soon we will add types, so it will be simpler to find them. But for now, you can use this. And what we need is this one, and you can like do the Rally plugin show, and it will say even where is the model with this code. Yeah. For scenarios, it actually shows even more. It shows what argument it accepts. We are working now to make it for all kinds of plugins, but I'll show just for now for some plugin. So it shows you what parameters it accepts. So it's quite simple to use it. So, okay, back to this. We need this.
How does RPS load work again?
So it will start scenario each period of time. It doesn't wait. Yeah, it's like request per second. So it doesn't wait until something's finished.
Yeah,
just starting new. Yes.
Okay.
And if cloud cannot handle everything, it will just break because it will DOS it. So this is why we need SLAs with another feature, but it's a nice chance to show you. Create and we did delete user, yeah? So it was
one question. So
okay.
You mean I didn't fully understand the meaning of the word module. So SLA is a module. Yeah?
No. Where module is Python module where you can find the code of it. So like I'll just show you. So we will put some criteria like it should take less than like probably let's take 10 seconds for the iteration, like this one, and we'll just start
What
it.
is iteration in this case?
Iteration is one execution of the scenario.
And what happens if it takes more than 10 seconds?
So
in,
clear?
In 10 seconds, it should create
No.
create and delete the user 5,000 times, or what? I didn't fully understand.
No. SLA are criteria of success.
Yes.
Would you get cross or green arrow, like everything is fine? This is SLA. Like by default, everything is passing, no matter what happened. Exceptions, no matter, it passes. So you have a mechanism to analyze data and say, does it pass for you or not? Because you cannot say what is passing for every customer. Like for some customer, it's okay to boot VM for 10 seconds and only 10. For other, it's okay to boot it for half an hour. Yeah. So this allows you to specify, like we are saying here, that it won't take in SLA, it won't take longer than 10 seconds to do create and delete user for any of the runs that we did.
Only one create and one delete.
Only one this execution of scenario. So each of runs of this scenario won't take more than 10 seconds. There is an average duration as well, and so on.
So in this case,
this
what is one run of scenario? What is one scenario?
This scenario is what is described here, and here is described like create user and delete user.
How many times?
one times. Scenario is always one set of action. So we don't do like create two users and delete two users. For that purpose, you are using runner. Runner is running this scenario many times.
And you said that we need SLA to not break the cloud, right?
Yes, this is the special feature.
It stops like.
We can, yeah. So it's SLAs are calculated online. So during the execution, when we are finishing one iteration, so one scenario run, it will add this data, and if it is, and it will calculate does it pass still or not. And there is special argument in when you are starting task to abort on SLA failure, so it will stop the load and finish the work if SLA start failing. This allows you to not break the cloud. Like if creating and deleting users start taking more than 10 seconds, it means something is went wrong. Like cloud is not holding this load, and we should stop the test before we kill it. Yeah.
So
this.
But I still don't understand.
Okay.
What
one more time.
iteration is this test?
Huh?
One iteration is this test. Can you explain?
It's run. Okay, let me show what is Keystone
based. 5,000 times.
It runs 5,000 times Keystone basic create and delete user. It's just method in Python code. It is 5,000 times.
Iteration. That 5,000 times creates and deletes.
No. Iteration is each run of method.
Okay, the method is created.
So let me just show you the code.
I mean, we have 500 iterations here.
So you have here all inside ready. We are trying to keep everything in the single repo, but you can have outside of the Rally plugins. So you have OpenStack plugins, you have scenarios, and then you can go to the Keystone basic, and you can find here Keystone basic. It is this part, Keystone basic.
Yes.
And then you can find the method that is doing create. Oops, sorry. And here we can find the create and delete user. Yeah, method, and it is doing next. You create user and do the resource delete. So
yes. So it is one iteration.
It is one iteration. This one run is one iteration.
Okay. Now
so what we are doing here is like we will run 5,000 times this iteration.
And one iteration create one user and delete one user should
in
not
this
last.
Case.
In this case,
yeah.
Should not last more than 10 seconds.
Yes, this is the SLA.
Not 5,000, but one.
One.
Okay, now I understood.
Okay. So.
Thank you.
And you can as well put another criteria like there is no failures, like there is max average duration is something, or there are failures. You can expect failures, like if you are setting low quotas and trying to go out of quotas, like setting quotas to one CPU and running 2 VMs, you're expecting to get 50% failure rate, and you can do this with this LA. So it's like negative testing.
In this case, I'm sorry, I'm just going back to this case, this particular case. So if I understood you correctly, it makes a lot of iterations, iteration, and it seems that load will be very high. And during that load, if SLI checks that one iteration lasts more than 10 seconds, it just stops.
Yeah, and it won't run 5,000 times.
Yes.
It will stop as fast as possible.
Okay, thank you.
So it's usually immediately, but you have already some amount of iteration that are running.
Mm-hmm.
So they will need to end, and then you will finish the thing. So let's actually do the two tests, so you see that it can actually pass. So I'll just copy paste it here, and we will put here just like 50 times RPS or 5 times. let's roll. So the very important thing here is not to forget this key or start. This is very important to specify. Please don't forget to do it. So it was like create and delete user. Let me specify verbs. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we have two test cases. One is really small lot, and it will do it for less than 10 seconds. All
Will
iteration.
it do all test cases one by one?
Yeah.
First and the second?
Yeah.
Mhm, okay.
And you have specify many scenarios in this dictionary, and then based on that you can do many scenarios.
Mm.
It's a bit varied format, and we have new one that is much better, but it's not yet finished, so we are still working on it, and
Okay.
it will be more. There will be just list of test cases like subtasks, and each subtask will have own title, description, scenarios inside it, and context, so it will be much clearer format. As well, it will allow us to do multi-scenario load when you're running few scenarios together.
Mhm.
So, okay, in any case, for now we have this, so let's start it. Okay, and it says that this will be run. So we are starting, ending, starting, ending, starting.
Plan is not working for me on my
And you see how it's starting more than ending, yeah?
Mhm.
So there is more and more, and we can see this. And it should stop at the same point of time. I hope so.
Seems like it stopped starting.
Yeah. So it will just end current iteration that are run. So it's like graceful shutdown without any interruption. And then it will, but it started a lot iteration before it decided it's already too late. So, and now it'll generate the report. You have a command new, it's like rally task SLA check, and it will say that this pass, and for this scenario position 1, so the second one, we have abort on SLA that fail, like, so task was abort due to the SLA failure, and max second per iteration. Maximum second per iteration was like less than 10 seconds, and it was 24 already. So we can now get the report for task report abort HTML. And I will download it. So now you see red one. So this passed, didn't pass. And if you take a look, oh, and it finished. Like things went wrong. And you can see here what I said about RPS. You see? Like we specify here, if you take a look, it was like 10 RPS. So run 10 new iteration each second, or like each 100 millisecond will run new one. And here we see on this graphic that during the time, on the 5th second we have already 43 running iteration, but on 10 second it was 86. And here when the stop load start working, we have already 110 in parallel creating and deleting user. So it like.
So basically now on this graphic you can approximately find the average for your test, modify your test, and average for cloud. I mean that 86 is 1/10 second. So if you specify 86 iterations, it will pass. Am I right?
Why do you need to do that?
Just interesting.
So no, basically this feature is used when you would like to, like, when you're running some kind of the load on the cloud, like we are making now the single task that will check all the cloud with the proper load based on few arguments that you are passing to it, like controllers, amount of controllers, compute, RAM, are you using SSD, and so on. And you don't want to break pre-production cloud. And it will have all these SLAs, and you'll just run with this task abort and it will stop. For picking the maximum load of that can handle cloud, we are going to work on new runners that will rise the load until SLA is passing. So it's a different thing. Here is just not the purpose of this is not to actually find something. The purpose of this is not to kill something. Like just don't break the cloud. I mean, it's very bad idea. And when you are doing load, you can easily break it.
In worst case scenario, what will happen? Your services will hang and you'll have to restart them.
And resources that you created will be in this cloud, so you'll need to clean up them until you have disaster cleanup. Right? Yeah, until we implement disaster cleanup, you will need to clean up them by hand. And for example, if Keystone die, it will have a big impact on other services that are using it. And if somebody is running something else, then it can be screwed up. So it's really not healthy to do such things.
And while it is not production cloud, you can do whatever you want.
Yes, you can even forget this argument and kill Keystone, but you don't want to do it when you are on support team. You already have everything broken, so you need to fix it, not to.
And does really record the items that it failed to remove?
No, we don't record the items. The reason is that we cannot do this. It's not safe, first of all. Like, for example, why it's not safe? If you just record the records that you created and somebody deletes VM that is running Rally in the middle of the process, you will lose everything. So we are using different approach to clean up everything. So, and the second thing is that we are working on distributed load generation, when load generation is done from various hosts, physical hosts, and then it doesn't work as well. Like, you cannot, it's very hard to store this information and not kill the performance of Rally. So this is why we are not doing this.
Understood. That's cool.
How can we install it on few master node?
So about installation of Rally, so there are few things how you can do it. The thing is that you need management network. For now, we are working on dropping this requirement, but for now you need to have. And the second thing is that you need or plain Ubuntu, CentOS, OpenSUSE, or Red Hat or Fedora, where we are testing that installation script is working. So here is the installation script. So you basically just run it. So this is the one way to do the things.
So basically it should be a virtual, any virtual machine that has direct connection to management interface.
Yeah.
Or maybe can it be controller?
It can be controller, or it can be even on full master node, but you cannot use install Rally SH on it for two reasons. First, it won't work. The second, I'm not supporting to make it work because people will start using it, and it actually affects the full master node, which is not the thing that you should do.
But it can be safely installed on controller because it installs in a virtual environment.
But Да, and you can even use install rally sh. So what is doing install rally sh over this setup p, this pip install, yeah? It checks that all system packages are installed and that this distribution of Linux is supported. And then if something is not installed, it will ask you, would you like to install it? And you can install it, and then it will install requirements, Python requirements for the Rally and install Rally and put the configuration file in proper places. As well, it supports two modes. It supports like system-wide installation and in virtual environment. So, but in any case, you have to have some system packages for that. So usually you have it if you have OpenStack there, but if you don't have OpenStack,
actually, as far as I remember, several months ago, I tried to I installed it to controller node successfully.
So on controller node, it's enough to create virtual environment and do pip install ready. Yeah, it's enough to do pip install ready. Yeah, in virtual environment, and it should work. In case if you would like to run it on master node, we have a Docker image. And there is a Docker on field master node. So what you need to do is like Docker pull rally forge / rally latest, and it will download the latest image. So we have here tags for all releases that we have, and latest is for master. And here is the instruction.
Has already installed?
Huh?
It already has?
Yeah, you're just doing Docker pull rally, and then you are using, yeah.
I'm excited.
So you can use it. The only thing I'm saying is that you need to have to create routes to get management network from master node. But I hope we will drop requirements for admin. So if you are running non-admin scenarios like booting and deleting VM, it will be enough to specify existing users without admin. Yeah, and in case of if cloud is using LDAP or Active Directory, which is the mostly in our cases, yeah. I mean, 80.
Not really, but.
Not really. There are many clouds, as far as I know. Like 80% are using read-only Keystone. No. Okay, so for those who is using LDAP or Active Directory, you can specify what users to use from system to do the load. So instead of creating all this stuff, you can do the things. So as well, I should say that you should go here. We have really nice read the docs, and you have here step-by-step instruction. Like from installation to setting environments, and it shows all commands, so you even don't need to run them. Just you can show. It explains how it's organized input task format, how to do the load with existing users. For example, stop on SLA and description of SLA and how they works. Rally task templates, a bit instruction. Aborting load on generation, on success criteria failure, how to work with multiply clouds, and discovering the plugins from CLI. As well, you have here plugin reference, and you have here instruction how to write actually plugins. So example, yeah. So how to create, where to put, how to use, and so on. So I mean, it's quite simple. For example, okay, SLA, yeah, max duration range. I don't know what the hell is it, but okay. So you have to implement just init method, where you can specify your variables that you need when you're creating every iteration procedure that will process the single iteration. So self max, self minimum, and success is if the difference between maximum duration and minimum is the criteria value, yeah, that it accepts. So it's not too right, and method details that returns message. So that's all that you need to implement for new SLA plugin based on your rules. So it's very simple. I can copy paste it and show you how it works if you're interested.
Sure.
Okay, so I mean, so you won't be scared about it, like. So let's like do it. I didn't test it, so it may not work. In any case, you have, as I said before, in your home directory, Relay will create a .relay directory. Yeah. So here you have this tempest.conf file, as we discussed before, yeah, and as well you have a plugins directory, yeah, and you can put here any file, any name, no matter what. We'll call it self-p, and you can put here this stuff. Seems like it's true. So this will be the name of the new SLA rule, and it will accept just the number. Yeah, because here is config CMI. Accept number and minimum is 0. So we will just use it now. We'll close this. We will open some old benchmarks. We'll remove this one that works too long. And let's run it 10 times. For any case, like 2. And here we'll specify. So you can specify as well as many as you would like rules to this single. So let's say that it should work. Difference between minimum and maximum duration of iteration should be the less than 100 milliseconds. That will fail.
One more time. What is the value? What does the value mean?
In this case, we create a special new SLA plugin. Yeah, and it means that the
duration of one iteration should not last more than 1 millisecond.
No. It's max second per iteration. It means, and this is another plugin. This is another criteria. It's range. Means the difference between duration of longest and shortest is less than 100 milliseconds. We just made it look.
Longest and shortest iteration.
No. So, okay, let's go back here. You see here the code. So here is the code. We are accepting single parameter, yeah, criteria value, and we are always, when we are adding new iteration, updating maximum value and minimum. So if duration is less than minimum, we will update minimum. If it is bigger than maximum, we will update maximum. Otherwise, we'll keep. And then success is calculated as a difference between the maximum duration and minimum duration should be less than criteria. Okay, so we can. So I just place this code to the Relay plugins, and now I'll just use it. Nothing is required to use your own. So let me try one more time. Ready, task. First of all, validate. So syntax is valid. Okay, task is valid, so we can run it. Even if you don't run validate, but you run task, it will check that all test cases are properly specified, all images exist, all flavors exist, in all test cases everything is okay. It's very important because when you have a long task and you would like to go home, you would like to know that it will not break in the middle. When I was benchmarking IBM clouds at the beginning, I didn't have this check, and I specify and I didn't have Jinja 2 templates, so I used copy paste, and I made a mistake after the third benchmark, so 97 were failed because image name was not properly enabled. So I didn't have anything to show to management, so it was like, fuck. And IBM gave us like 1,000 servers, so they were expecting on daily basis to get some results, so it was like very bad. So I like this feature very much. You don't know how it's hard without it.
Did you implement this feature?
Yes, of course. At that point, only I was working on Relay, so.
SLA failure. Parameter.
Abort on SLA failure?
Yes. You didn't add it.
So I don't know. It was my idea, but who was implementing it? Maybe I was. I don't remember. At least I did the architecture part and review.
No, I mean that it is command line.
Uh-huh. So we don't need here abort on SLA because we are not running anything hard, like 10 times it will still alive, no matter what you will do. So let's do create and delete user one more time, yeah, and probably verbose. So it should just run it, everything. So up. So you see how different is RPC a lot from the constant, where constant is just starting few amount and then starting new and then starting, and then here like. So we see that the difference is bigger, yeah, between minimum and maximum. Like minimum is 6 seconds and maximum is 11, so it shouldn't work. And to check this, you have a separated comment like task SLA check, and it says that this fail and this fail, because this failed because maximum duration range was
percentage actually.
Yeah, because it's bug.
Bug?
Yeah, but you can fix it. Like go here, plugins SLA, not CV, and because it's demo plugin, it can have failures. I'm really excited that it even worked, so it's already amazing. So somebody, you see, left here percentage, and it shouldn't be. So we can rerun because SLA are calculated already, so if you try to SLA check, it will return the same result. In any case, it said that it should be less than 100 milliseconds, and it was like difference was bigger. Why it was 8? Something screwed up here. So difference minimum was 6, maximum was 11. So it should show 5, no? Cells. How it's happened. Something is strange here. It should show here less. In any case, it's plugin, so you can play with it. So it's live code that you can just put and use. And if you don't have any something inside already and you would like to get it fast, you don't need to contribute to anything, you don't need to install anything, you just go write the plain Python code that is doing new plugin and then running task and getting it done. But why it doesn't work well?
So what printed is actually self-max, right? What they see 11.8 is self-max. It's maximum value, not the difference. Right?
Yeah, but I don't understand why such happens, because you see here we are doing max, min. I don't know. For some reason, it didn't work well. Okay, in any case,
How to debug it? Can you just print self-max and self-min and run one attack?
yeah, we can. So you can just go here and do it like.
Maybe it's if you see a self success, it's real value, yeah, or what? Or it should be boolean.
Status is a boolean value. So let me just rerun one more time with prints. So I can just do, so I fixed a bit code. Now we're rerunning it. So it prints something. 0, 0, 0, 0. I know what is the issue. It's the bug in the code. Because minimum should be by default not 0, but
Yeah.
it should be like maximum value. It's, I forgot how it's in Python maximum. Python max int. There is a constant for it. Sysmax int. This is what we need. So we will just import sys. So this is how we can debug. And if we put here sysmax int, then everything should work. We'll keep print for now. Let's rerun it. Now it works better. Keystone, something happened with it and now it's working faster. Nice. Unsupported characters. Nice. I think there's 43. What the hell? Self status. Where is status? We don't have status here. But we're calling status. So let me just fix it a bit. Okay. But why it passed now?
Because it's very fast.
What the? What they did with Keystone, they fixed it. Finally.
What do you mean?
It works very fast.
But it was several times longer on previous run.
Yeah, but now it's fast.
Is it Light Cloud? Somebody changing it right
No,
it's
their stack on my computer.
What do you mean? Who fixed it?
I know, somebody.
Somebody changing your dev stack right now?
Yeah.
Probably it's completely broken and
Maybe
No,
it cached
no.
some values.
But it's creating delete user, I don't know what it can cache. Okay. Huh?
Shit happens.
Always. Especially during the demo. I know when I was like preparing for, it was a Yandex conference, and I was like preparing for it, and I installed first DevStack, checked everything, didn't restart computer or anything, like everything was fine. And usually DevStack works for 2 months, and I'm starting demo like let's run the Keystone, and Keystone is unavailable. No, Keystone. I was trying to boot VMs and they didn't boot. And then I ran Keystone worked well, and then I tried to return to the Nova and it stopped working as Okay, so SLA checks now. Okay, now it fails because difference is 7 seconds and 0 1 is 2. So
Okay.
okay, I believe it's enough for the first time.
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah,
So that's not good then.
yeah, stop.
So that's
So this
record
kind-
sound.
Yep.
This existing